Hello and welcome to another fun-filled edition of Adam's Music Box. Well, John Fogerty is not only one of the best singer-songwriters of all time, but he created a model of the new singer-songwriter of the 1960s that influenced every subsequent singer-songwriter from the 70s, 80s, and the 90s. Now, to understand why he was such a revolutionary, we have to look at what came before this era. What came before this era were professional songwriters, most of whom were not famous performers, some of whom never left the offices in which they composed their music. Think things like Tin Pan Alley, think things like Irving Berlin, think of Rodgers and Hart, Rodgers and Hammerstein, think of the great songwriters that worked with the great arrangers, people like my favorite Don Costa, the great Gordon Jenkins, Nelson Riddle, and in the 60s, this began to change. A great transitional singer-songwriter, one of the best of all time, Jimmy Webb, was someone who still wrote songs mainly for others, but he had a very forward, progressive in a music sense looking perspective. He had a rock vibe for a rock era. But when it comes to the archetype of the singer-songwriter who either as a solo artist or leading a band was someone who wrote the songs that he sung and made famous, but others still continued to perform them and cover them in their own right, that archetype for me was John Fogerty. And the reason for it is simple enough. He walked the walk and he wrote some of the very best songs of all time. You cannot narrow it down to one because they were all so good, but I think Have You Ever Seen the Rain ranks as one of the finest songs of all time. You can put it up there with things like September of My Years, Misty, Stardust, just one of the greatest songs absolutely ever. He could be political when he wanted to. Fortunate Son, for instance, he could sort of write in sort of the style of sort of Louisiana swamp music, even though he was from California. Things like Born on the Bayou and Green River. He could write songs that were then later on covered by artists from different genres, like Proud Mary, that Ike and Tina Turner made famous. The songs like Lodi, great traveling songs. Everything that he did was great. Down on the Corner, Foot Stomping, classic. Too many to name. Who Will Stop the Rain? See, another Rain song, not the Led Zeppelin Rain song, but again, another beautiful song. And everything, all of his hits were just so instantly memorable. They had great chords, they had great choruses, great lyrics. And again, all of the people that came after him, people like, James Taylor, people like Joni Mitchell, all of the people, Harry Chapin, Jim Croce, all of the people in the early 70s, which was a real golden age for singer-songwriters. I don't think they could have achieved the kind of love and acceptance they did if John Fogerty didn't create a new rock and roll era model of the great singer-songwriter. And he's had it bad from the corporate people and the lawyer people who stole, well, they didn't, I think they stole his music. Legally speaking, he signed it over to them, so please don't sue me, Fantasy Records. And then to add insult to injury, they sued him for sounding like himself. I kid you not, when he had his big comeback with Centerfield in 85, they said, oh, your new song sounds like your old song. Well, no shit, Sherlock. He won the case, but the fact he needed to go through that litigation. But he's got his old catalog back, and he even made a great anti-war song in the early 2000s called Deja Vu All Over Again. Check that out. Sounds like it could have been written in 1968 or it could have been written yesterday. Great stuff from one of the best to ever do it. As always, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.